Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Cookout. We are back to our regularly scheduled programming of doing reviews and movie news and all that stuff. Imani, how you doing? Happy weekend. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. I'm feeling good. Last time y'all saw me, I was off that Pfizer. I wasn't feeling too hot, and it showed. But I'm back. I'm better than ever. Did a wash and go. It's been like day 4 or 5. I don't even know, but I'm out here. How are you, Coop? How was your
I'm
birthday?
good. Hey, my birthday was good. It was good. You know what I'm saying? I can't complain. 28 years young on May the 4th. Got a fire episode of Bad Batch. I almost said something else, but um, it was a great episode of Bad Batch, episode 1. And then we got the second episode Friday. Both episode reviews are actually up on the channel right now. If you want to go take a look at those after this episode is over, please do so. Highly recommend that show. Very much enjoying it thus far. I'm looking forward to where it goes. And episode reviews will go up every Friday. Looking at doing promo for the channel at 8 p.m. So that being said, my birthday was good though. I did a Star Wars marathon. I was waiting for some more May the 4th Star Wars related news, like a trailer or content news announcements, a sizzle reel, something entertaining and exciting to get us Star Wars fans excited.
They let
That
you
never happened. They let
down.
me down hard. But you know what? I can kind of forgive them because that 70-minute episode 1 of The Bad Batch was really good. So,
30
that
minutes?
kind of softened. It was 70 minutes. Yeah, episode 1 is 70 minutes long. 70 minutes long. So it's kind of like, I can't it was a really strong 70-minute episode too. Like I can't complain too much about it. Overall, it was a good day. Got to enjoy some content with other Star Wars fans. Plenty of birthday wishes all around from everybody. So appreciate all the love and support that I got from family, friends, online friends, Den of Nerds, Certified Gumbo, everybody. It was good. So yeah, still
Nice.
still living off that high. So appreciate y'all.
70 minutes sounds exciting, and now I'm a little upset that I haven't finished Clone Wars. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish Clone Wars, and I'm gonna start on the Bad Batch. I'm not even gonna watch Rebels unless an episode comes out and you say I have to. Well, no,
Nah, you can't.
I
Cause I
can
can't.
finish
You have
Clone
to
Wars.
finish. You gotta finish Clone Wars. Cause all right. So here's what I would say about the Bad
Break it
Batch. Now
down. Yes.
I watched this with my parents yesterday. Well, episode 2. They watched episode 1, and they the first comment they said to me was like, okay, when you said this was animated, this was not what I was expecting. And that's what I've been trying to get people to understand about a lot of the Star Wars animation, especially Clone Wars and Rebels, is you think it's very child, it's geared to more like children, like 5 to 10 years old, but it's actually in that 14 to 18, 19-year old range. So it's more geared for a mature audience. So I think it will surprise a lot of people how mature the content is. It's not like Invincible, or it's not R-rated. It's like PG-13. It's like a Marvel movie. It's just animated. But if you haven't started watching the Clone Wars and you want to get into the show, I would recommend maybe watching the first arc of season 7, which is like 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, because that is the introduction of the Bad Batch. That's where all the characters are introduced. That's how we get to know who these characters are and what they do, and kind of sort of their backstory. And see, episode 1 of the Bad Batch kind of picks up where that arc leaves off, and that's all I will say. I will not spoil anything for you, but that's why I'm saying, at least if you haven't started the Clone Wars, check out that first arc of season 7. It's like 4 episodes, and then go watch the Bad Batch, and you should be able to follow along with the series. Other than that, if you've started watching the Clone Wars, like Imani, you're what episode are you on?
I'm in season
Season.
5.
Yeah, see, you're deep into it already. So I would say continue, finish watching the Clone Wars, binge it, get through season 7. Season 7 is amazing, by the way. So like, when you watch that, you're going to be ready to watch the Bad Batch. And it's going to, the tone of season 7 and the Bad Batch really match. They go hand in hand. The tone of the Clone Wars animated show kind of matures as each season progresses. I would say it matures with its audience. If it was geared for like 12 to 13-year-olds from season one, I would say by the time we get to season seven, it has matured with that 12 to 13-year-old audience.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and then season seven continues, and Rebels I would say is like, well, I say it does the same thing, but that's all I'll say because the whole show's not going to be on the Bad Batch today. I have done my reviews of the show with these two episodes thus far, and tomorrow I'll be speculating on what may or may not be happening in the next episode, as well as how the Bad Batch may tie into other live action shows in the same time period as like those shows being the Kenobi show and Andor. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing and I think Andor is going to catch a lot of people by surprise. I think it's going to be better than a lot of people are thinking. It seems like if you've seen Rogue One, Cassian Andor is the character that this is based off of. It's a prequel. It's kind of setting up his story arc. I think it follows his earlier years as a young rebel in the earlier period of the Rebel Alliance before we see him in that movie. So that's that plot alone for me is kind of interesting, and I'm interested to see what that does. But it has a lot of potential to tie into a lot of other things that are happening around the galaxy at that time. So that's the intrigue for me. And beyond that, like we don't really know much. It's filming right now, so we'll see some footage probably by November, December, because I think it's supposed to come out next year.
That little sneak peek they gave us during the investor call, where it was just behind the scenes and shooting and all that jazz. They gave us a couple of clips. It looked darker than Mandalorian, so I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, I would say it's probably going to be. I would say it's probably more like the opening scene of Rogue One. I'm thinking that's where it was because he was like Cassian is in the back alley talking to his contact, and then they're confronted by some Imperials. The dude is like, I think he's got like one leg or something, and Cassian shoots him in the back and like leaves because they can't afford to have him leaking any information that they may have gathered in that operation. So I think that's kind of the stuff that we'll see. Like they hint on some things in the Rogue One movie that they've done some really dark things for the Alliance, and I think that's what that show is going to kind of showcase. It's like, yeah, we rooted for the Rebel Alliance because they are the good guys, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they were like the White Knight, if you will. Like they had to get dirty in order to overtake this empire. They gotta fight. It's almost like by any means necessary type of mentality, especially for their alliance early on. Like they were severely outgunned and outnumbered in their early years, so I can imagine that they had to make some harsh choices in order just to survive. So hopefully we can see some of that, and I think a lot of people are wanting some more darker Star Wars content, and I think this show is going to push that a little bit. I think it's probably going to be geared for an older audience more so than any other show, and I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be darker than The Mandalorian. Which I think it's probably going to be a sleeper for a lot of people. I think it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise. Because I could totally see it going more like that. What's the spy movie? The American Spy.
There's a lot of them.
No. That kind of competes with James. He's like the American James Bond. The Bourne.
I was about to say.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more in like kind of sort of. Yeah, I think it's going to have lean a little bit into that type of thing.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's kind of sort of where my head is with that series. But yeah, all right. What else we got on the docket, man? What are we talking about today? What's going on?
We're going to talk about Without Remorse. We're going to talk about Invincible. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. I would like to see if we can hold off on Invincible until JBM gets here, because I enjoyed everybody's comments in the Discord, and I would like all of us to talk about that. But I will just quickly say that was super exciting.
Yeah, JBM should be joining us around 9 p.m. So I think the Invincible conversation, definitely Mortal Kombat, he will definitely want to be present for, and I think we need his input on both of those, especially
The
now
investigation, definitely more con.
without remorse. Um, I have not seen that yet. I've not watched it. I'm not gonna
I
lie to
thought you
you.
saw it.
No, I haven't seen it
Okay,
yet. I've gotten so Julian saw it earlier this week, and then you saw it, and
I saw it
both of y'all
twice.
gave me some lukewarm reviews for it. And the trailer didn't wow me, so I was kind of like, I'll watch it, but I wasn't rushing into it. So tell me about this movie
Okay, what
for
I
the
will do
audience.
is compare it to Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan is a show on Amazon Prime. It's a book series written by the same author, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
it's starring John Krasinski as Jack Ryan, the main character. I absolutely love the show. It's fire. The first season, I couldn't stop it, and then when I got to the season two, it was so thrilling that I needed a break. Like I
Mm.
can't watch this. This is too much on my heart. I'm gonna come back. I never went back to it, but I need to and finish that. That being said, I think not the issue, but this is a movie based on a
Mm-hmm.
book, and I feel like there's just not enough in the film to really make me happy. The action is on point. The fight scenes, some of the places they took this, they did a lot of filming underwater, which I thought was crazy dope. But as far as like substance and stuff, it was a little lacking there. And I think that's the difference between like a film and a movie, that especially ones that are based on books, they just can't fit everything in there. But like I said, what makes this movie great are the action sequences. If you like, military, like post-military guys going back out and doing some work, this is definitely on par with those types of movies. So I would say it's cool for that. I'm excited though for a sequel. They definitely set it up like there would be one. I do believe there will be one, especially since Amazon is already doing business with Tom Clancy's book series. I did find out that this movie was not originally made for Amazon Prime, and I'm wondering if that's a part of the issue. This movie was supposed to be a film release, but Amazon Prime bought the rights to it during COVID, which is why it's released on
Mm.
Amazon Prime. They did the same thing with Coming to America. So I would hope that it being on Amazon Prime will make the next one better. But yeah, I'm also, ever since, like, especially during COVID, the miniseries thing seems to be taking over. I'm just a huge fan of that now. There's so much more that you can do with 6 episodes, 6 1 hour episodes. That's 6 hours. That's a
Yeah.
lot of time to get that in. And so now knowing that that's a thing and that's possible, I don't know. I'm not feeling a lot of movies now, especially. Actually, there's not even a specific genre of film. Like, even, my favorite genre is horror. American Horror Story makes me want horror shows more. The same I could say with the sci-fi stuff that was in Lovecraft Country. I don't want movies anymore. I need stuff like that, especially for screenplays that are adapted from novels.
Yeah. I think adaptations in general will benefit, especially from like the streaming services, because, and this is where a lot of people have said, like, streaming has really changed the game, not only because of COVID, but even after COVID, we moved back into more of a pre-COVID society where we're going out to the movies a lot more, we're doing more things in public, we're getting together in spaces. I think streaming has solidified itself in this time period as a valid platform for a lot of people to get their entertainment, and the way we experience movies and shows now has completely changed, and it's irreversible. And I think that for the most part, a lot of the shows that are adaptations have done way better than any of the movies that are adaptations, unless it's like a trilogy or a series of movies like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. For those are kind of sort of the exceptions, but adaptations for a lot of um, reasons have fallen short, and it's mainly because there's so much content in a book. It's really hard to adapt that much content into a 2 hour format. It's really hard to compress all of that. So you got to make decisions as a director and as a studio on what you're going to cut and what you're going to keep. And sometimes they don't make the best decisions. And then sometimes it's just the fact that they didn't really understand what the source material was in the first place. But that's an entirely different conversation. I think for the most part, the adaptations that have been good or the ones that people have enjoyed followed the source material closely, and there were some minor discrepancies where it just really came down to the director and studio saying, all right, how important is this to the story that we're trying to tell on screen? Do we need it? And those movies and those adaptations have been where fans have enjoyed the most. But to your point, like these miniseries, like I know WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier have kind of sort of been like lukewarm. WandaVision probably on the colder to lukewarm. Falcon and Winter Soldier was way better, but for them to be at some point movies, and Falcon and Winter Soldier being a movie that they turned into a 6 episodic miniseries, it benefited because it allowed more time for character development. And when you're doing adaptations like this, character development is important. I would imagine that for Michael B. Jordan's character, what's the name of the character he plays? Do you know?
John Kelly.
I would imagine that his character would have benefited from some character development. So for us, the audience, to sit with him a little bit longer, get a little bit more of his backstory, get more invested into what he's been through, so we can appreciate the overarching theme of the show. Like, because of streaming, we've gotten more instances of that, and that's almost become the expectation now. So when films fall short that were adapted from other sources, like we have examples from other material where it's in like, this really worked well in this format because we had more time with the character. The story could breathe. Like, we had some episodes where it was just purely about character development, building relationships that are important to the story. And then by the time we get to the finale, everything that happens has way more impact. And I feel like studios are going to have to make a decision. I think that's going to be what inevitably changes how movies are directed. They may even have to go back to like making longer films, like this whole 2 hour short stop of films. That might have to go out the window. We might have to go back to the older days where we've got longer movies with intermissions. I think Justice League, the Snyder Cut being the prime example right now, the audience reception, the fan reception for the Snyder Cut versus the original Whedon Cut has been miles better. Like, the miles of separation between the two films speaks volumes. And had we had streaming platforms, we had streaming platforms, but had they been as prominent as they are right now, maybe, and that's a hard maybe because we don't, the way Warner Brothers makes decisions, it's a hard selling point, but like, it's possible that, with an HBO Max being an option for them, maybe the Snyder Cut would have been more realistic in its 4 hour format to release, maybe, but hard to say given what we know.
I think you made a really good point about familiarizing yourself with the source material, and I think there's two important things. It's not only, the people making the film being familiar with the source material, but it's also time. The difference between the two, for example, all right, the Snyder Cut versus the Whedon Cut. That's time put in, but one side clearly knew the source material better than the other, right? One genuinely cared. So in film, I would use that as a example of like there was a lot of time put in, but one side did more, knew the source material better for the other. Now, for the opposite effect, when it comes to knowing the source material, I would say Mandalorian and even both of the shows on the Marvel shows, so both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there was a lot of knowledge of the source material. I might even say equal on both ends, but there was a lot more time put into the Mandalorian. You can see that on screen, and just
Mhm.
writing in the writer's room and, designing the costumes, everything behind versus the Marvel shows. And that's actually a complaint that I'm going to have when we talk about the Marvel Phase 4 film schedule. They're just not putting as much time into this stuff. And I feel like it's just a rush to put a lot of things out. Like, as for this movie, The Tom Clancy's Without Remorse, I will say we're kind of bashing it, but please go watch the movie. It's not horrible, but because of
Mhm.
COVID, I've had nothing but time to sit back and watch movies and nitpick everything, so I can't help myself. They put a lot of money into this. The wardrobe was, as far as, like, I can tell these people trained for these parts. Michael B. Jordan, he has weapons experience from previous films, but I'm sure he did more to train for this, to prepare himself for this. Um, but the movie still kind of fell flat for me. So, but like
Mhm.
the action sequences, like, you could tell they really got in there with the trainers for the fighting, the choreographers, all that stuff. And I mean, those underwater film scenes, there were two great ones. That was really dope to see. I want to watch that again. Those two scenes.
Yeah, yeah. There's also too we got to look at the financial thing as well. Like, before streaming, TV got a really really low budget in comparison to film. Like, something that people may or may not know about. Like, at one point before, when George Lucas was writing the original Star Wars, he had, the option to make that a series was on the table for him, but he shot it down real quick because of how little the but the TV budgets were in comparison to film. And although what he got for the film was really what we would consider like a small budget for a film, and it was almost like on the level of like an independent film, it was still significantly more than what he would have gotten if he would have gone the TV show route. With streaming now, streaming platforms really elevated uh, the budget. Netflix and those other and Hulu, they spend a lot of money, and even HBO, they spend a lot of money on their shows. Like, you're talking about like $10 million per episode. That was unheard of prior to streaming. Like, people weren't doing that, and now that's become the status quo.
Right.
Like, people are spending a lot of money on these shows because they realize the benefit, and the audiences now are, even before COVID, they were staying at home to consume this content at a higher rate because of how good the shows were. And, people really sitting down to consume character driven content increase based on streaming, because now, that it almost becomes the expectation. Like, we've always liked good shows, and good shows have always been had strong character development. That's why we watch those shows, not necessarily because of the high end budgets, because they weren't really high end budgets ever. It was primarily because of characters. We could relate to the characters, and each of the characters, there was good dialogue, and they had great arcs, and that's kind of sort of what makes a TV show. And, if we're just looking at it from a foundational standpoint, as long as you've got a good story, good writing, and strong character development, like, a show can go for multiple seasons.
Right.
Um, and so I think now that has almost become the expectation because of how much streaming content that we get on a regular basis. Like, now we get so much character driven content on streaming platforms. We as an audience expect that when we go
Yeah.
into uh,
Yo,
to a
yo,
movie experience. JPM, what's going on?
what's happening? Joined in a little early. I'm still on the clock, but it's slow, so let's go.
Well, I was
Hey, all
actually going to
right.
pass off on talking about Invincible because we wanted to wait for you, but we're talking about Without Remorse. How did you feel about it?
Without remorse, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
Okay. 3 out of
Yeah,
10. My
That's
brain
solid.
processed that. I was like, dang,
Yeah,
I don't think that's
because I
bad.
was
When he
yeah.
said
that's
It was
average.
dang.
the action was okay in it. The I like the music in it. I thought the story was basic and the dialogue was basic. but
You
throw
know,
Michael B.
that's
Jordan in there, man. It makes a good movie.
that's because so Julian, what you watched it on? You watched it on my birthday because you called me. I think while you were watching it or after you watched it, wished me happy birthday, and like you just said you had watched it, and your initial reaction to it, I was like, okay. I'm like, I don't know, because you were like, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's
it was.
cool. I mean, you didn't have anything bad to say about it, but you also weren't like saying anything good. So that 3 kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't a movie that excited me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just like,
That's
yeah.
that's the sense I got. So we were talking. I don't know if you heard any of the conversation, but we basically just talking about like how streaming has sort of kind of changed our audience expectations for content. Like now we kind of expect strong character development that we would normally get in TV shows
Shout out
because of
to
streaming
Invincible.
platforms. Which we'll get into that as well.
Strong character development in that.
Wrong.
But when we have like adaptations and things like that, adapted from other material, it is almost beneficial now instead of making those movies, just make it into a mini series or something of that sort, just so that the story has actual time to develop and let us grow with these characters. Like let us watch the growth of these characters and become more attached to them over a series of episodes
Mm-hmm.
rather than try to digest it in 2 hours.
I also want
Yeah.
to make a point. Like, we don't dislike movies. I still love movies, but watching a movie that had a lot of holes or just didn't capture me, and just being able to recognize that this would have been a better show isn't good. Like, if they can make a good movie, make a good movie. Nobody's going to complain. We might want more if it's great, but if it's, a well-made movie, I'm not going to have any complaints. I think my issue is I went to the movies and I saw Wrath of Man. It's the new Jason Statham film. I never saw a trailer for it before I went to the movies, and I can
Uh-huh.
honestly say that was the best Jason Statham film I've ever seen. The action was on point. He was on point. Like, he scared me through the screen. Um, it was just a very well made movie. And I see that action movie, and then I come to see Without Remorse today, and it it just didn't live up to it. So, but that's being said, go watch Wrath of Man. It's in theaters right now. It's not streaming anywhere, but if you feel comfortable, that's a good movie. Like,
Wrath of
I
Man.
would
Okay. What's that about?
It's about a man, just like all Jason Statham movies. Somebody close to him passed away, and he wants revenge.
Okay.
Period, and he gets it.
Well, see, but I'll make this point about that. Like, there's certain content that is just it's geared for movies. Like adaptations for me, it's hard to get an adaptation in that 2 hour window. But a movie that was written for a cinematic experience, like it's not adapted from any other source material. It was written for a 2 hour time period. Those are always going to be something that we're going to go to see in theaters because that's what it was designed for. It was designed for the theatrical experience. Like, so I think my argument now is like, all right, now we have streaming platforms and we have other areas and avenues to get this content out to consumers and to the market. Like, let's see these adaptations become series where they would benefit because you take like a 24 30 chapter, like 25 30 chapter plus book and try to compress that into a 2 hour time period. That's asking a lot from a directorial standpoint. Like you're gonna have to cut out a lot of character development and just minor things that actually help the story overall. And so, like, that's really my only argument. It's kind of like you don't have an excuse to make a movie that is adapted from another from other source material. Like that deserves to be a miniseries that goes to the streaming platform.
JBM, have you ever seen Tom Clancy Jack Ryan? It's on Amazon Prime.
I saw the first episode of that.
They didn't capture you. You didn't want to finish.
Yeah, it didn't hold me.
All right. Well, I really like the series, and if you can watch episode 2, it might speed up a little bit for you. But I was gonna say that that show is really good. Season 2 was so good that I had to take a break because it was stressing me out.
Oh
But
wow.
if they can make a mini series or do the next, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a sequel to Without Remorse. If they don't do a film, I would be really hyped to see like a mini series or even a film broken up into several parts. I have a feeling that after Winter Soldier, a lot of streaming services might consider something like that now. Um, yeah, I think that would be a dope route for them to take, and maybe hopefully will.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. So what else did I miss, or what did I miss?
Intros, and we talked a little bit about the Bad Batch and Andor coming out on
Okay,
Disney Plus.
cool. Bad Batch is good. I watched episode 1. No complaints. Visuals are fire. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, that was a comment I made too. I mean, because my parents watched the Bad Batch, and their one
Oh,
of the
they did.
comments that they made, yeah, one comment that they made that stood out to me was like, they said, when you said this is animation, I wasn't expecting this. Like, it's the visuals and the cinematography in it
Yeah,
go, more into that live action direction, and it feels, well, I would say more mature than
it's got a
a lot
cinematic
of
feel to it.
yeah, because American audiences, they have a perception for animation that is for it's children. Like, it's animation is cartoons, and cartoons are for children. But animation has many forms, and it actually goes to a variety of different audience groups, and like
Invincible.
it's just another medium of entertainment. And I think for a lot of people, especially, well, just basically here in the States, because most other nations, they don't look at animation the way we do. Like, we
Yeah,
really have this staunch, like, animation is Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, basically, right? And that's just not the case for like most other areas of the world.
yeah. I'm
It's just
trying.
a
Can we just talk about Invincible?
yeah. Let's get into it.
Let's just get into it, y'all. I've been trying to convince my mom, and my mom feels that way. She's not the biggest fan of animation. The closest she'll get is like CGI, like what's it? What's the movie with the blue people? Avatar. She'll get down with that, but definitely not feeling like she calls them cartoons. So but it's Invincible is fire.
Yeah, I love Invincible, but yeah, I'll tag back in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it is. I would agree with that too. I think my only hesitation with the series right now is uh, because of what happened with the boys. I kind of fear that the shock value of the violence in the series is it might not have, it's no credit or discredit to the writers. Like, this is where it becomes more challenging to the writers, because they're going to have to write more compelling content in season 2 that can compete with the raw shock value of the violence that we got in the series in the first season. Because if they pull like the boys, where like it doesn't, like, the story doesn't live up to the hype of the first season, like, it's going to struggle, and I don't want that to happen. But that's what happened for me with the boys, and like, I kind of see being a potential future for the show. But that being said, the first season is amazing. Like, it is way different. It catches you if you're not hooked on by the first episode. Like, I don't. It's the show's probably just not going to be for you because of just what happens in the first episode.
If
Like, they don't
you
waste any time.
if you don't get caught on after the first episode, something's wrong with you. Like, that is a great show, and I did a little research on it after I watched it, and I was worried for 2 seconds, Coop, but the storyline and the shock value and all that stuff is literally written in the comic series. Like, and I mean, they kind of showed us a little bit of it. The violence in this show is going to get worse, like way
Yeah.
worse. So I'm hyped for that. I do wonder, like, long term, what can they do to us? But I mean, that's one thing they didn't do is, can I, am I giving stuff away by saying this? Okay, no, I'm not. One thing they didn't do was make us fall in love with the character and kill him off. That they didn't do that this season. There's no character that we can say that we were attached to that died. So, and if anything, we know that we're going to see more next time. So that might be an area where, they can really like get us in the fields or like shock us, like by getting rid of someone that we've at least loved for an entire season. And I will also say, this was written by the same guy who wrote The Walking Dead. They are The Walking Dead. If there's anything The Walking Dead got right, is they will make you love a character and kill them in the worst possible way. Or even, you don't even have to love the character. It could just be a character that was so. They're gonna die, and it's gonna be so bad that you're like, yo, like, I just watched this. Like, for those who don't watch The Walking Dead, there is a scene where, what's the actor who played it? Everybody Hates Chris.
Oh yeah.
I'll look
I
it
know
up.
you're
I
talking
forget
about.
his
I can't
name.
remember his
But
name.
in The Walking Dead, there was a scene where he got stuck in the doors. The doors that, like, the rotating doors, like if you go to a hotel or like some malls have them where it just spins for you and there's like four little pockets. He got
Yes, the
stuck.
revolving door.
Thank you. He got stuck in one of those with zombies. And like, he
Yeah, I remember
couldn't,
that scene.
like, yo,
Yeah,
and his character wasn't even on multiple seasons. I think he was only in that season for like
for
maybe
like a couple episodes.
yes, and that like still sticks with us. Like, I will not forget watching that and live tweeting that, and I had to put the phone down. I couldn't anymore. So I'm not worried about the shock value in the future of the show, just knowing like what the writer is capable of. So, and I'm thankful that it's animated. They're just like, I don't have to worry about the budget. I don't have to worry about like the level of gore and how many bloody scenes, because it's animated. Like, they don't have to worry about CGI and makeup and all of that stuff. They literally have everything they need to give us the best.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also too, animation is just as expensive as live action. Like you're not saving money either way. It's honestly like just how much. Because one is like the artist. It de- it depends really on the scale of the show. This is kind of a small scale show in comparison because you've got primarily one location, maybe a few. So it really comes down to number of locations, number of characters, and how many panels that you gotta create new animations for or things that you can reuse. The more stuff you can reuse, the more uh, the more money you save when it comes to animation. It's just like live action. Like the fewer locations that you go to, the more money you save. Or if you can shoot everything on the studios on like one lot, one set, you're talking about a really really cheap production in comparison. So, but overall, like price wise, they still balance each other out.
Absolutely. I also think you can definitely see where they cut corners in some episodes of this show. Like, there are scenes
Yeah,
where Invincible is flying and he's just not moving, and the only thing that's moving is the
yeah,
background. That's kind
yeah.
of obvious, but once you finish the show, you realize they needed to save all that money they could for that,
They
and
had to.
they had to, and
They
it
had
was
to.
perfect. So I would say, if the show is performing this well, hopefully the budget is up for next season. It's only going to have to keep going up. But
It should. It should. They should. They'll definitely get a bigger budget for next season, and hopefully, they don't overdo it, and just stay focused on the story,
mhm.
and just expand in some of the little areas because there to you you're right, like there are a lot of scenes in each episode and it's a minor thing but you can tell where things were not animated and there's quite a few scenes throughout the episode and I'm like, yo, this is really a low budget animation, but it's the story is good. so you don't really care that much. Like it's hard to nitpick a show when you've got that level of character development, high level of storytelling, and that high impact entertainment just helps you to like overlook a lot of the minor things that could be nitpicks. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But
JBM,
oh, go ahead.
I was just telling JBM, we talking about Invincible, and we were talking about how they saved as much as the budget as they could for those last couple episodes, as far as animation wise.
You know, watching it, I didn't notice any difference in the animation from episode to episode. I probably was just so caught up in the story watching it.
I can say I was too. I had to rewatch some parts to realize that. But there are scenes when like Invincible is flying and he's not moving. He's still not moving, and everything around him is moving. Or like in the house. Anytime they're in his house, it's literally just a photo and the characters are moving throughout it. Like the house is still.
Yeah.
Is that you think that's intentional for style, like a stylistic approach, or they just didn't have money?
That's budget. Like
that's budget.
Like normally, so higher budget animations, they animate as much as possible to make the environment feel real. And on the lower budget animation, you can note like you'll see a lot of stuff in the background is just a painting, and it's still. So like the more things that you see animated in the background, the more people you see walking in the background, they've got like this is a higher budget animation. But if primarily the only thing that's animated are foreground characters and some of the stuff in the foreground, like some of the environmental things like trees and what have you are animated, then okay, this is probably on a lower budget animation, so they didn't have as much money to spend on making the environment feel more lively. Because all that stuff costs money. Like you can't just that's why I said animating versus live action, people think that it's cheaper to do animation over live action, and that's just not true at all. Like they cost the same.
Yeah, you can get animations can be like $1 million an episode.
Yeah,
or more.
You got to pay all the artists who are involved in the animation, and animating is not cheap. Like you got to think about it. Like somebody's got to draw every single all those movements to make it feel fluid. So like the time spent and just the level of detail that it takes to animate a scene, just a sequence with one character, is time consuming enough, let alone you have to color it and then add other characters and other things like that. Which is why on a lower budget animation, they save money by animating fewer things in the background to focus more on foreground stuff. And I noticed that in the show, but it didn't bother me because the story was good.
Yeah, so what did y'all enjoy most about it?
I mean,
I like the fact that it felt like it was a show made for adults, an animation made for adults, and I appreciate that.
Nothing about this was for kids. This was for adults who love to see violence on TV. There's a scene in was the train scene episode 7 or 8?
I think that was 7.
That's probably the most for me. That was the most shocking scene I've ever seen in a show, period. That was more shocking to me than the boys when all those people's heads exploded in the courthouse. Remember how you felt when you saw that?
Yeah.
The train scene in Invincible made me drop my jaw, and I had to rewind it because I was like, nah, that didn't just happen. So, yeah, that's what did it for me. I don't want to say exactly what happened, but that.
I think by that point, I was kind of desensitized.
Yeah,
so I was just more or less like, wow, this dude is really putting him through the ringer to get him to understand where he comes from. This is sick.
The same happened for me. I saw it coming. For me, by that point in the story, I was just like, it would be crazy if he didn't do that. Because it's wait, you've built.
He was already.
I was kind of this. I could see that this was going to happen. I'm like, I'm like, oh wow, they're really gonna do this. That was kind of sort of my reaction. But for me, that was like on the same level as like the Red Wedding. Like I think for me, the
Yes.
Red Wedding was like the biggest shock value thing I've seen in recent memory. Like as far as a TV show goes, I can't think of anything.
The Alienist.
I hadn't finished watching
That show will trip you out.
I've never watched it.
The Alienist on HBO Max. Check that out. Psychological thriller.
I'll check it
Takes
out.
place in the 19th century New York. Late 19th century New York. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Red Wedding had us messed up when that came out. That's the only thing people were talking about for weeks at work. The Red Wedding. The Red Wedding.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because yeah.
Yeah, that was a blind side. You never saw that coming. Never saw that coming.
And that was my favorite character too at that point in time. And that joint hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you. That joint hurt. I was like, yo.
They have no issues taking everybody down.
It was so bold. Like, he was probably, I think the majority of everyone's who watched that show, he's at least in your top 3. In like that whole, he had to be like for most people that were watching the show as far as the heroes go, like they were building him up to be the one, and they were just like, nah, player, it's over for you. And then just the way they did it, it was just like, oh man, it's crazy. And it felt so believable. That's the thing. Like it felt believable, which is why it helped with the whole sequence.
He shouldn't have chose love. That's what did it. That sealed his fate.
It was like, dang.
He should have kept it business, strictly business. he got that body. But yeah, man, Invincible was like, even the minor characters were interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The blue twins, when you find out they're like tech geniuses, that's cool. The stone guy, you find out he's like some Luke Cage type of dude. That was cool.
Yo, that was a twist I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
When you find out who he really is or how he's really rolling at the end, like I wasn't ready for that. That was great. I'm very excited for next season, especially when Mark is. I'm trying not to give away anything because the show is so good. We've never talked about it on camera before, so I don't want to give away the show and then have everybody just see things. But at the end, when he's talking about things about how he wants to, just enjoy life, and they're showing clips of all of the villains and stuff that he may have to deal with in the next season. Like I'm super hyped about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
And hopefully that budget goes up.
For me, it's like a new classic for me. Just going up there with I don't know what, maybe Naruto,
I can't find the budget for Invincible, but I just read that The Boys had a budget of $10 million per episode. And I'm sorry, but some of these episodes in this last season don't seem like they're on par with $10 million.
That's what's up. It depends on where the money goes.
Well,
and that's what that was to my point earlier. That was to my point earlier. Like it's like you got a formula that is successful with this first season, and as long as they just use that increase in their budget to enhance everything that worked, and then also to improve some of the things that didn't, then the season 2 should. It shouldn't be season 2 of The Boys, because that's my biggest concern with the show right now. It's like, because I felt the same way I did after watching season 1 of The Boys. I was like, yo, this show is about to be amazing. And then we got season 2, and I'm just like, I don't even know if I'm going to watch this anymore. And like, I'm just like, I hope that that's not the case.
It wasn't that bad now. Season 2?
What's the most memorable thing from season 2?
The man whose third leg was a weapon.
Right.
Yo, that's funny.
What was the black dude mother's milk?
I mean,
it was touching his
the heads exploding. I
That
mean,
woman being a
Giancarlo
Nazi was crazy too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Esposito.
that. Finding out she's a Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't pay off in the end.
I
I
think
mean,
it messed
I
up.
don't know, man. We'll see. I feel like they messed up with taking her out.
Seeing how messed up she was at the end was also good to see.
I felt disappointed with Giancarlo Esposito's character. Like that was a big letdown. Like they set him up to be more of a bigger bad, and he just wasn't. He's just a businessman at the end of the day. It's like, that kind of fell flat. Like I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the promo is for season 3. But like the end of season 2 did not get me hyped for the next season.
I think the writing was the issue and the character development.
Yeah.
I think had they hidden that Stormfront was a Nazi from us, because they informed us of that pretty early. Like even though we may not have realized that she was a Nazi, but when she ran through that apartment building and she was killing all the black people inside, all the residents, it was pretty clear that she was racist at that point. And I think that was episode 1 or 2 when that happened. If they hid that from us a little bit more and maybe, didn't show that part, her actually killing the people for no reason, but then showed us later, it probably would have been more impactful. But we knew very early on that she was an awful person.
Yeah. I think it's certain reveals came too early, too, in the season. To your point, that was a big one. I don't know. Yeah, it's just the sequence of things happening in the show wasn't up to par with the first season. Like for me, the first season was way better than the second season. And it's like, they spent way too much money on that whale scene. That should have never happened. Like
They shouldn't have used it as promo. That's
I
the
don't even know why that was.
Yeah, that's where they messed up.
I'm
They
like,
just should have let it.
they just made decisions that were just wrong.
Yeah, we were supposed to see that in real time.
yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't
for real.
need to see that in
That scene
promo.
would have felt different if it was the first time we saw it. You know what I mean?
It might have actually worked the way they intended it if we
Yeah.
hadn't seen it or didn't know it was coming. I think it definitely would have worked better for me. But like the fact that I was expecting it and then it was literally all that they showed us, and there was not more to it after that. I was just like, oh, okay, that was okay, cool.
Yeah. Also, what's the fake Aquaman? The Deep? His gills. That was nice. It's those nasty gills talking to him. That was
Man.
dope to see on screen. I appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah. So yeah,
But
that's another.
I think one thing that I have to remember with the boys is it's not a superhero show. If you treat it more like a reality show following superheroes that are also terrible, you appreciate it differently. Because the only
I
person
see
who's
that.
actually trying to do good is what's her name?
Stardust.
Starlight, not Stardust. Starlight is the only person who's there actually trying to do good. Everybody else is just living, life. It's a reality show following superheroes. So if you treat it like that, you appreciate it differently than just expecting
But
superheroes to do superhero stuff.
I feel like they did that better in the first season. Like I bought that more in the first
I
season
don't
than I did in
disagree.
this season. And like part of another thing for bringing up Starlight, like that whole relationship between her and what's the dude, I didn't buy into that at all. Like I didn't care anything about their
Oh, you didn't like
relationship.
their romance,
They
their
were cute.
courtship?
Nah, it felt like
I liked them. Yeah, it was a
high
little cute
school.
little couple.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Well,
nice,
remember, Starlight is, girl next door, Christian. Like when she became a member of the whatever the Justice League they call themselves,
The
they
seven.
tried to set her up and bombshell her up. But not that she isn't beautiful, but that's not who she was on the inside. She was just like I thought they worked well together. When she was
I
all
feel like they
flexed up,
just
she was
focused
at
too
it.
much. Like
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with the relationship. I just felt like they focused on it too much. It wasn't, and that's not what I cared to see. That's not what sold me on the first episode. Not first episode, but the first season. Like everything else that was happening in the show was what got me into the show. Their relationship was a thing, but it wasn't like for me. Season 2, they focused way too much on it, and it didn't go anywhere for me. So that's just kind of sort of I don't know. I just remember that just not being like, because every time they were on screen and I was just like, yo, can we get to the next part of the story? Like, this is not.
Dang, you didn't.
I
How'd
mean,
you like
it's-
Invincible's relationship?
That worked better for me. That I
like
bought into
that
that
too.
easier.
Yeah.
Them Starlight and what's his name? I'm not interested. It's
That
just,
was also
like their
good.
relationship to me is more believable than Starlight and what's his name. Like the Invincible relationship and the writing and the dialogue and the juxtaposition of the two characters and how they basically complement each other. That worked better for me than what Starlight and what's his name are doing, because I can't remember what his name is.
Huey.
But, I don't know. Maybe it's Huey. I don't know. One of them is not working for me. I don't know which one it is, but it's just not working. So yeah, that's kind of sort of. I don't know. I think I have to buy into a relationship early. Like I got to be sold from the jump, and I don't think it was. Because because Huey's girlfriend got killed by
the Running Man.
Yeah.
No.
And then he made a big deal out of that, and then I don't know.
You want to know what's not believable? I just looked up Huey, and the character from the comics popped up, and man, he is not. It would be. I'm thankful they casted who they casted, because it'd be even less believable in the show if he looked like this. I'm gonna put it up so y'all can see. Because
Oh wow! Speaking of
that's
comics, picked up this the other day. Oh, so far so good.
what's that?
Lock and Key.
Oh, Lovecraft.
Welcome to Lovecraft. Can't be
Nice.
wrong. It's pretty
Is it
good.
Is that it?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
This is what Huey looks like in the comics.
Yo. No.
Oh, yo! What is that? Get out of here! That's
What's up with his
crazy,
nose? Why his nose look like that?
bruh. What? Yeah.
They did him justice by casting who they cast in
That's
in
for sure.
the show, because it would be worse. What does Starlight look like?
He looks like one of the Watchers.
One of the Watchers.
Yeah, from Marvel.
Yeah, I can recall. He looked like that dude just like on the corner outside of Starbucks or something asking for change. She look alright.
Hold on, let me share. She looks kind of like her character.
Yes.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, like you can see the similarity. Like there's no similarity between Huey from the show and the comic book version of himself.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, this is let me share this. That's a Watcher.
Oh wow.
Looks
At least his edge up is clean. The other dude's edge up was terrible.
They completely bald.
You know what they look like? The little aliens from. Click on that other picture where it's 3 of them.
And Mars Attacks.
Yeah, yo. Can I just say, Mars Attacks is a great movie, and people don't talk about it enough. That's a great movie right there.
Yes, it is.
Yo,
the aliens talk.
That's crazy.
About that.
Nope. I read that wrong. I read that wrong. That's great. I'm still not putting that on screen, but that's hilarious. Yes, Simon Pegg. Yep.
What?
Look at the comments.
I don't know. Who is Simon Pegg?
The dude from
What's up, Uncle?
Oh
no, because there's a picture of him with a goatee. I'm not gonna describe. He was Scotty in the new Star Trek movies.
That's old boy from
J.J. Abrams.
What? Let me see.
What's the
I
zombie
see who
movie?
Simon Pegg is.
Shaun of the Dead. That's the main character from Shaun of the
that
Dead.
guy. Oh, yo, that's funny. Yeah, I could see that. He does look like him.
If we're
He
gonna
looks
talk
exactly
about it,
like
we
him.
might as well post it.
That's wild. That is wild.
He got the same hairline.
I'm
It's
screaming.
like they modeled him after their character. Or they
Maybe
modeled
they
the character after him. Like I think that he might have been. I mean, hold on. Look at this. Wait.
We need
That
a
is
side by
uncanny.
side. We need a side by side.
That's uncanny. That's spot on. Look at the nostril.
Go to the what's that? What's
That's
that?
crazy.
That one in the white blazer. Top left.
Wait a minute. He was in The
right
Boys season 1.
Same hairline.
That's got. They had to have modeled him.
They
after
did, and the
Simon
fans.
Pegg. It has to be.
He was, and the
That's 'cause that's just
fans of the
too-
comic book. So I just checked it out. Simon Pegg was the inspiration for Huey's
For the
character.
character. Okay, because I'm like,
they-
that makes no sense how much they resemble each other. That's a
And
spot on.
I don't know if y'all remember, but he was in season 1. He played Huey's dad.
Was
He was.
Oh, was
yeah,
that
he is. Yeah, he is the dad. Dang, that's crazy.
Wow. Hold on, what happened to him? Cause he was in season 2, right?
No, he wasn't in season 2 at all. They only reached out for him to be the dad. I guess it was an age thing because Hugh is supposed to look kind of young, and I guess Simon Pegg isn't young right now, or at least not the right age for the role. But they reached out for him to play his dad. Although they had to age him up to play his dad.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
Also, the superhero dressed in all black in the Boys. That was disappointing
Noir?
too. Yeah, Black Noir. Didn't he have like a peanut allergy or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it? Like, why?
I don't think
You
he's dead
didn't
though.
like that? He's not dead.
He's not dead.
He just.
I like that because it was like he seemed
I was
unstoppable,
just
and then it was
underwhelmed.
just peanut allergy.
Oh, shout out to
Right.
everybody who fought me on him being black. I told y'all he was a black man and y'all didn't want to believe me. And then they finally pulled his mask up a little bit and proved it. I didn't forget about y'all. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I feel like we knew he was black. We was just.
I knew. People fought me on it. I knew.
What I say? He was Samoan.
I don't
That was my-
remember that. Said I know a black man when I see one. And then they casted a black man to be in the suit. And was it y'all? Somebody didn't believe me. And then y'all were like, it's just the person with the suit. You can't see him. And I said, he's black. That was Negro energy.
Well,
I'm gonna say that was
Isn't
cool.
it-
That was cool.
because in the comic book, I don't think he's black either. Yeah, no, because he's a clone of what's his name?
Homelander.
Homelander. Yeah, he's a Homelander clone. Like he's the content. Like in the comics, he's like the contingency for if Homelander goes evil, which he is in the show. Like Black Noir would be the one to step in and be able to take him down.
Let's see.
What we got?
I don't know. He had on all black in the comic too, so we can't see.
He
Work
is
is over.
a clone of.
Well, still, I'm happy he was
Homelander.
a black man on the show.
So yeah, so
That
they,
was-
it was just they they at least changed that aspect. He's not a clone of Homelander anymore. That's for sure. Nah, he should still be. I wonder if he's still as powerful as Homelander though. He seemed like it initially.
He doesn't fly though. He seems as powerful.
Yeah, they kind of
wrong.
nerfed him because he and Homelander are supposed to be like equal in power and strength.
Gotcha.
I wonder why they changed that up. But yeah, I don't know. Going back to Invincible, I feel like Omni-Man is one of my faves. Just the way that ended, I was like, whoa.
I
This
am
is-
so excited to see more of Viltrumites.
Yes.
Like I'm ready for that.
Evil
Yeah,
Superman.
I'm curious. Well, I wish they would do the Brightburn thing though. Like do more with that. Because isn't that
Brightburn?
was it Brightburn? The
Right?
evil
Yeah.
Superman, the horror movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Like that needs to be a series because wasn't that just a movie?
It was just a movie. If that's a series, I'm sorry, but and if they do it,
Could you imagine?
no,
Oh my
there's
god.
no way because literally he would have burned like there would be no show. Everybody would just be dead. I think
That'd
that's
be
why it was
frightening.
powerful because he was. If you haven't seen Brightburn, Brightburn is a horror film based on what if Superman was evil, and it takes place when the Brightburn kid, who's essentially Superman, was a child. So when he's first coming into his powers and learning about his powers, instead of being, good and trying to do the right thing, he immediately turns dark.
He just
Like
goes
all evil
dark.
all the time. He's a child,
It's
literally
crazy.
killing people and just doing whatever he wants. So if that grows up, there ain't gonna be no Earth. That's the perfect villain. So I'm
That's what I'm like,
but it
yo,
was
that
just a
would be
kid.
wild.
It's
I'm like, see, that's
yeah.
like
That can't be a
that
show
would
with
be
an adult.
insane.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it
That would
could
be
be a show. If you can write that, if you got the right group of people to write that show, that could be a really good show, especially because you would have to bring in the other super characters. Like, I mean, it would basically be
That would
it'd
be a
the
hard
Zack Snyder.
story
It'd be
to
the
tell.
Zack Snyder, but no, it'd be the Snyderverse basically. After
so. I was gonna
Darkseid kills
say,
Lois Lane, I mean, it's literally the story.
so that's where it would have to be different. It would have to be Superman being, the good guy at first and then turning bad. Brightburn, he was bad the moment he got his powers. Like there was no positivity, nothing. He chose violence the moment he felt a little bit of power. So yeah, like it can't be Brightburn. It has to be Dark Superman or whatever his name is in the comics. Because Brightburn was nuts.
Could be. I
I'm
think
also
there's a way you can write that story.
I mean, did he have what was his motivation? Like, he just driven by
Evil.
like
bro,
killing people.
The kid
Yes.
was just evil.
Yo, watch that
He
movie.
was just purely evil.
Yes.
Like he was possessed by the devil, basically evil. Like
Oh man.
he's just evil.
Imagine a 13-year-old just going through puberty. That was an important part of the film because now he was starting to feel a girl at school and like imagine just turned 13, gets powers, and like any little inconvenience, you gonna die.
Basically,
Like
like
this.
he had no check and balance because nobody can check him. Like it's like Superman had was it Kent?
Yeah,
He
there
had
was
his dad. Like Brightburn, he doesn't have that character, that father figure that's guiding him in that morally correct way. So that's basically the difference between him and Superman. Like you don't have anybody that's like building that moral compass within you, and you got powers like Superman. Like that's easy to go south. That could easily go south.
yeah, it was. That's a great movie. I need to watch.
One bad thing happens, and like all of a sudden, laser eyes, dead.
It doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can bump into him and he's gone. That's it.
I mean, just like
I
Homelander's kid though, like the laser eye thing, like it's I think that's probably where the Brightburn is a little less believable because of just how evil he went. But you can see, I think it's probably better executed with Homelander's character. Maybe if they spent more time with the kid in season 3 and they showed that's probably a better selling point for me. See how they help mold the kid so he doesn't become Homelander. Because we saw a glimpse of that at the end of the season, and that probably was one of the more compelling aspects of the story.
Yeah, that was a good
But
close.
I forgot about it. It was just kind of
That's a
like
good close.
that's what should have closed it though. Like I like the heads exploding and the reveal of the senator or whoever that was. That was cool as well, but that to me wasn't the biggest moment of the show. That should have happened first, and then we should have got the stuff with the Homelander's kid, and then that's where we leave off on the cliffhanger. I would have much preferred that cliffhanger than what we got.
Yeah,
I think it's the order of the way things happen. Probably in season 2 is probably where I've got the biggest gripe. I think it's just the way the story unfolded. Maybe it's less so with the story itself, but just more or less like just how the sequence of events transpired. I think if they were ordered differently, I might feel better about the season.
I don't believe that we saw the end of Stormfront. We probably because she wasn't completely dead. She was jacked up, but she wasn't dead by the end of the season. But I think it is impactful that Homelander's son is the one who took her out, because in thinking back on it, she was spitting some wild racist stuff to him, and Homelander looked at her crazy, but he did not say anything. He was like, yo, she wildin'. Oh well, and kept moving. And she's still telling the boy about white hate crimes, and Homelander is just letting it happen. So, and I have a feeling what she wanted to do was to turn the kid. She probably saw the value in that. So it's probably for the best that she didn't get that chance.
Yo, she gave the kid the whole Nazi speech and everything.
Like, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, that's why I was like, why would they? I'm like, that's kind of why I'm like, why did they kill her like that? Because that makes it a little bit more. Because now you just killed Palpatine before like the whole everything can fall.
I wouldn't give her that much credit now.
I definitely would. Like that's the potential she had.
Like
you killed the potential.
White genocide. Oh, yes. But I was looking at
that's what I'm saying. It's like they got scared because of just the political environment that we're in now. But like this is the exact time you do a story like this, because it's going to get people talking. It's going to get people like on both sides feeling like a type of way about what's going on. But you got to execute it in the correct way. And I feel like you can't just tease something like that and then just kill the character immediately and before any of that can like kind of develop within the story.
I can't.
And then it's the cliffhanger with you. Remember the also the enhanced people that she had in that facility
that broke out.
I'm just like, yo, aren't these her minions? Nazi? What? Explain that. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't think they're so much on her side. One thing about the minions is
they were test subjects against their will.
Yeah, like they weren't happy to be in there. So now that they're out, I foresee that they might be a problem, but they're not going to be on Stormfront side. I think their issue is that they just want to be free and do what they want to do.
Man, I would have
had one girl, the telekinesis.
Yeah.
That broke free.
The bald chick. I'm excited. I was a little sad that we didn't see her again in the season. I'm hoping that we see her next season, because I just knew that she was like, we were going to see her in the season, and it didn't happen. But you said something cool about them being afraid when writing. It's crazy because they were afraid to go far with, Stormfront, but they didn't have any problem killing Black and brown people and people of color and taking us out. Like, y'all too scared to go all the way with her, but killing us, like that was a huge conversation we had. I remember it was on around the same time as Lovecraft Country, and we talked a lot about how, the writers of Lovecraft Country were mindful of how Black people would feel watching the show and watching Black people get killed, and they made sure that it was tasteful and that, there wasn't more Black death than other shows. But then the episode where Stormfront goes wild on the apartment building that's occupied by Black people, there was no thought there at all, no consideration. So it was very clear that there weren't too many Black people, if any, in that writer's room, because that was a lot to watch. So it's funny that they didn't have any problems killing Black and brown people. They took that Asian man down. Didn't she rip his arms off and some crazy stuff? But they were too scared to go the level. I just thought about that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, you can't just go and you can't dip your toe in the water and then just, then just pull out. Like, no, you got to get in the water. Like, if you're going to go there, get in the water. If you don't want to go there, don't put your toe in the water.
What would you have liked to see from
she spent the entire season spreading that hate speech and propaganda and white supremacy. You see the white dude kill the Arabic store owner. Then she gets killed, and all of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that all of these people she's incited.
Well, she's not technically. She's not dead.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the cop out. Like you decided, we can kill her, and then all hope is restored. The evil's going. Like no, She's riled up all of these people. Like you've basically incited almost a race war within the country, and you can do
Honestly,
that from a. And if you have a
You
superhero
think they'll?
leading a race war, like what?
Okay, so two things. You think they'll keep with that in season 3,
No, I don't at all. That's
they
even
not
with
what
should.
the
they need to
politician
believe.
being the like the villain?
She's a brown. Like now you're going to make the brown person lead because she's like Indian.
That's
So
where
now the Indian lady is going to be the one leading that charge. Like, come on now. That's
it's
the
like
direction
it's
y'all
Well,
want
kind
to
of
go
like
in. The
he
person
we're
who's
was
going to
making.
be leading
against
that
that.
charge.
He was against that. What Stormfront was pushing, right? That politician.
Right. So
Yeah, she was on the opposite side.
that's also the cop. So now we're going to make her the villain over Stormfront. We're going to take Stormfront off the camera, off the out of the equation, and we're going to shift focus to the politician now. Like for what? Like you've already gone there. You may as well go all the way through and follow it through, and then now we can get to this lady. But right, the way they ended the season, I'm like, I don't care because you've already created an environment situation that if they don't address in season 3, I'm going to lose complete interest in because you've already seeded, you've sown the crops. Now reap the harvest. If you ignore that, like I'm like, all right, y'all are just you just killed a bunch of black people for no reason.
So
But I will
Stormfront. What
say
is
though,
Stormfront's in season 3?
I don't think
Because
Stormfront is dead.
technically,
I wouldn't be surprised if we
yes,
see her,
technically
but
they didn't show her die. They just showed her like in a messed up position. You know, she was just tore
they
up.
did out who she was though. I think publicly the world knows now that she was
Yeah,
I forget her previous name, but the world knows that she's a Nazi. And that title isn't good. So if we see her again, she might be rebranded as someone else.
But that was the other thing. I was like, you think people don't care? Like the way they made them act like the whole Nazi, like you can't recognize that what you're speaking is hate speech and is Nazism, but all because the name Nazi is attached to it or not attached to it. Oh, it's fine, but now once we attach Nazi to it, now it's a problem.
I
Like this
mean,
is
that's how
the
people live right now. The word
no,
being
yeah.
called
it's
racist
really
is
not, bro. We
worse
got
than.
we got whole neo Nazis out here proud to claim that they're neo Nazis.
I
This is
mean,
in the world.
no, you can't. I agree with it. There are people like that. But if you call someone racist right now, they will argue with you. How dare you call me that? They'll say, how dare you
Yeah.
call me that N word? They'll say that in the same breath. Yes, 45 made a lot of people more bold, but for the most part, there are still a lot of people who are racist, but don't like the title and don't want to be called that, want to freely be racist secretly, even though they're spewing racist rhetoric, but just the label is the problem for them. That's real. That's still here. 45 definitely made it more comfortable for a lot more people to be, outwards with it and claim to be Nazis, but there are more people hiding in plain sight than there are those people.
That's fine, but I'm just within that universe, you just gave the neo Nazis a champion, and like so
Really?
now
All that?
with her, yeah, they're gonna see they know what that is, and they're gonna like that's now their hero.
I will say there is an election going on in the show. Season 3 is probably going to be about that election.
Like,
so,
but that's what
Yeah.
you gave them their hero, and now if you don't address that, like you just let that slide in and just go to the wayside. Now we're focused on the politician that killed everyone in the building. Like I'm just like, yo, that's why
That's
would
interesting.
you even tease that? Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
don't
I
go-
kind of
don't-
viewed her
don't
as
dip your
like
toe in the water.
satire almost. Like they made fun of her character. That's kind of how I saw it. Like I didn't see her as like a racist hero.
she was definitely their idol. She was actually. They
my
even.
man,
Yeah.
the white dude that went in there, like he's listening to all of the speeches cycle in his head, and that's what gets him hyped up to go kill the Arabic dude in the store. That's when I saw that scene, I was like, oh, this is where we're going with this character. You've just given the white supremacist a hero, and now you throw that aspect into this world. Like that's an interesting concept for this, because now you're going to force the Vault heroes to actually consider where they stand in all of this. Like that's way different than what any other like superhero show or movie is ever gonna do. Like what is it? Okay, so Marvel kind of does it with Captain America when he does with Hydra Cap, when Hydra when Captain America is actually a Hydra agent. Like that's a run within Marvel, but it's not to the extreme that the boys could have gone into. Like this is just like almost like an exploratory concept of, instead of Nazism, it's just the Hydra stuff in Nazi Germany and all of that. But it wouldn't go into the social commentary as much as the boys would, which would make it a more interesting show. For me, I was like, yo, you just gave them their Hydra Cap with what's her name, like let that play out. Like I'm curious to see how this happens and how the heroes within the story handle that whole situation. Because then you got people within Vault, like all those heroes, they've really got to step up. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to see who you get to see who are the real ones, and then who are the ones that are just like performative allies.
Can't Stormfront heal the way Homelander heals? Because if she can heal, then she's definitely like alive.
It's not. Well, I think she's definitely alive because any normal person would have been dead after all that stuff happened to them. Like her legs and arms were gone, and she was all jacked up, and she was still talking. So she can heal. I just don't know how quickly. But yeah, she's alive. I don't know when we'll see her, but she's.
Maybe they'll link to it season 3.
Maybe, or I would even think that if we see her again, it won't be as Stormfront. We might see her again as something else. Because I remember now her previous name was Liberty, and then Liberty killed a black person, and the world found out about it, so they put her on ice, and she rebranded as Stormfront. So that's probably what's going to happen again. Also, in thinking about this, it's easy to see now that Viltrumites are going to take the label of like the white supremacists in Invincible. So basically, it's going to be Viltrumite supremacy over everybody else. I don't think that's going to be a lot of season 2, just because the Viltrumites mean business. Just from what I saw on screen and what I read, they can't just come and try to take over the Earth at the beginning of next season, because I don't know. I don't think Earth is ready yet. So I have a feeling that there's going to be, some growth between the heroes that are on Earth right now, and some growth within Mark, the main character. But we're going to get to see the Viltrumites eventually. And it's because Omni-Man was talking a lot of like supremacy talk in his speech to Invincible in that episode. So yeah, I'm hyped for that. You see it.
It's interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Omni-Man. I'm going to say that. Is he redeemable after season 1?
No, but we still love him.
These are facts.
We don't love him because we like him because he's bad, but he can't just not be bad. Like he was like, "Yo, I like your mom, but like she's like a pet to me."
That was so bad.
I'm not going to say anything else. If you have not seen Invincible, please go watch that show. It's easily the best show I've seen this year. I might argue that it's easily top 5 show that I've seen since COVID came out. Since we've been home because of COVID. I said COVID came out like it dropped or something. My next album dropped. When's the next pandemic drop? Can we get into these Marvel release dates, or y'all got any more comments?
Nah, that's it.
Let me pull it back up. All right, I have a complaint, and I said it a little bit during our talk about Without Remorse, but this just seems like a lot. And seeing, how WandaVision was and how Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, I'm worried that Marvel isn't like really taking the time to work on, everything. Like, for example, at the investor call, they announced several Star Wars shows and Marvel shows, right? Like, we're getting a whole bunch of stuff from them, and they announced a couple of movies for Star Wars. We have dates and, like official release dates for what, at least 15 Marvel projects, the shows and the movies combined. We've only seen one, well, now two, with the Bad Batch released come out of Star Wars. So I just know off top that, like, Lucasfilm is putting a lot more time into, what they're releasing. And I'm worried that Marvel is just trying to release a whole bunch of stuff. And I do know a lot of what's coming out is coming out late because of COVID's pushed back. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out back to back to back because the schedule is off. But it just still seems like way too much to me. I don't know. How do y'all feel?
I think the caveat for me in that is that the Kevin Feige is very opposed to well, not that's probably too strong, but he's not a fan of Disney content going on Disney Plus. Like, so his attention is he's going to prioritize the movie theaters and the films more so than anything that's going on Disney Plus. Like, he has been opposed to. This is why we haven't been able to get the Black Widow movie, because he does not want that to go on Disney Plus. He wants to go into theaters. Like, he is the reason why we hadn't seen that movie yet, because it was the option for it to go to premiere access was on the table last year when COVID started. Once it basically ended, it had to be pushed back and removed from its original theatrical release. There was the option for it to go on Disney Plus, and he was just adamantly opposed to it going on Disney Plus. Like, he wants the theatrical experience to be where you basically get Marvel. Like, he wants Marvel to live in the theaters. And the trailer actually is a testament to that, because that's what the whole trailer was about, is to get us hyped to be excited to go back to the theaters to watch these movies. That's just the direction that he's going with the show. And unfortunately, it's probably why WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of sort of they've been lukewarm at best, the reaction to those shows. And it's because, like, I mean, that's not a priority for him, like, stuff to go on to Disney Plus. Like, all his attention is going into the theaters and movies that are going out into theaters. Like, I guarantee you that the quality and the storytelling that we were hoping for with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier are going to be well reflected in the movies. And
I hope so.
Lucasfilm, on the other hand, they're in a different situation because, one, they've had to reboot the franchise and just the lore in general. And Disney Plus has kind of sort of been, I won't say, I think savior is too harsh, but it has really helped repair the brand image for the fans, especially with the Star Wars fans. Like, I think the Mandalorian, for one, has very much helped the overall reception to the Disney Plus, or to the Disney merger. Also, Kevin Feige and not Kevin Feige, but Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Dave Filoni specifically, coming from TV and having that TV background, and like with the Clone Wars and Rebels, like, that's kind of sort of his bread and butter anyway. So it makes sense that the Mandalorian and the Clone Wars Season 7 and Bad Batch have been successful, because that's kind of sort of always been his wheelhouse. So, like, you're seeing a complete change in direction and shift in storytelling and focus from Lucasfilm to, where, on the Lucasfilm side, those showrunners really are coming from TV. And so Disney Plus makes sense as a viable platform, like, for Lucasfilm right now, whereas Marvel, its focus has been the theater. And Kevin Feige is not going to he's not going to back down from that sentiment. Like, he's stayed strong through COVID. We didn't see any promotional material last year for Marvel movies, um, at all, even though they had been working on them, and a lot of those had gone into production, uh, and they were casting and all that stuff. They were doing everything that they could during COVID to get ready for when things return back to normal and people are going back to the theaters. They've even shifted the release dates on movies that they've showed in the investor call because I think things have kind of sort of gotten back to normal faster than what they had expected. Stagecraft has always also helped them because they built stagecraft studios in LA, London, and also New Zealand or Australia. And so that kind of helped them to get back on schedule with production because they were able to shoot a lot of things for current projects for movies over in New Zealand and in London using stagecraft. So for me, I think that's kind of where that's kind of just the difference in that.
Just basically, the movies are going to be A1 and the shows are going to be not.
Yeah, I won't say that, but you'll definitely see a big difference in the quality of storytelling.
Gotcha.
I think one thing, the interconnectedness of the shows to the movies will be underplayed, and they'll almost be like almost standalone. They'll tie in, they'll be connected, but it's looser than, let's say, what Star Wars is going to do. Like, we know that how Star Wars, everything from the movies to the comic books to the novels to the video games, everything is canon. Like, everything is part of the main story. Everything ties into the other. So there are characters, there are events that happen, things that go on in different mediums that are all tied together, whereas the MCU is basically the MCU. And everything else is kind of sort of is almost standalone or is a loose connection.
Gotcha.
Like, I guarantee you the next time we see Wanda and next time we see Falcon and the Winter Soldier, actually both of those characters, all three of those characters, anyone who saw the shows will probably have some. I think that you could probably, next time we see any of the characters that we've seen in WandaVision and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we'll have a reintroduction in whatever movie they appear in. And, if you've seen those shows, good for you. But if you haven't, you're not going to be lost.
Gotcha. You know what? I was just thinking about, like, how are people going to handle Sam having the shield? But if you don't watch the show, you did see Cap give Sam the shield anyway. So,
Yeah.
and it ends with having the shield. The only thing that would be new with this is the suit, but they get new suits all the time. So you're right. That's definitely.
And it's got the stars and stripes, the Captain America. I mean, it's a Captain America suit, right, with Falcon wings and his shield. So if the last time you saw him was in Endgame, then next time you see him with the suit on, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, because he got the shield. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Whereas like Disney, Lucasfilm has done the same thing with Ahsoka, for example. You don't really have to know the entire backstory of Ahsoka when she appears in Mandalorian, but for the fans who have watched her entire journey, like I have, like from the Clone Wars all the way to Rebels to when I see her in Mandalorian Season 2, I'm informed about the trials and tribulations of this character and everywhere that she's been, and it just enhances the overall story for me. So, like, I think the same thing will happen. I think we'll have a different appreciation for Sam when we see him in the film next time, because we know what he experienced in his show, and so that's going to inform a different perspective for us who have seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier versus someone who hasn't. It's not going to detract from someone who hasn't seen the show, but it's not going to. There's an added level, is an enhanced level of appreciation for those who've seen the show, because you know what he's experienced and what he's going through, and it might actually maybe inform some things or decisions that he makes the next time we see him.
Gotcha. The Uncle says, I think COVID gave the MCU shows more important than they were originally intended. I agree. I think COVID made everything more important because we didn't have anything but time to just sit down and watch it. We're a lot more hoarse now because of it. Let me get into these dates. We already know we have Loki coming out on June 9th now. For those who don't know, they actually changed the release dates. It will now drop on Wednesdays. So you have June 9th, and then every following Wednesday we'll get a new episode of Loki. And getting into the movies, we have Black Widow dropping on Friday, July 9th, 2021. We have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings on September 3rd. I still have not seen this trailer, and I don't want to watch the trailer until Black Widow comes out because I'm not getting hyped for movies that they're going to keep pushing back. I don't even believe half of these dates right now, but I'm going to say them anyway. We have Venom, Let There Be Carnage coming out on September 17th, 2021. There's rumors of it being tied into the MCU. Did they announce that on the...
Oh, really?
Did they announce that when...
They can't...
No,
so
right?
No. So there's a lot of... Okay, so the Sony deal that just went through has probably postponed a lot of announcements.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming... It's safe to assume that Venom, Spider-Verse, all of these announcements probably they're going to hold until we see Into the Spider-Verse, and
Gotcha.
then they'll say, because when we see Venom in the Spider-Verse, I promise you then we'll get a trailer or something that will indicate him being connected in some way to the MCU, or at least this is a way for them to explain the live action Sony Marvel Spider-Verse and the crossovers and connections. We need to see the movie first,
right,
in order for that to make sense. And I think that they're going to withhold a lot of that, a lot of those announcements for the Spider-Verse until after Spider-Man comes out.
Got you. So Venom, Let There Be Carnage comes out September 17th. More than likely, no ties to the MCU right now.
Now, I will say there may be within that name, Let There Be Carnage. It may have layers that we don't quite understand, and it might come back into play once we see Spider-Man, because contextually, we Let There Be Carnage is synonymous with Venom, but it might have actually some more significance after we see Spider-Man 4. Like it might actually have a multiverse play. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Potentially, like Let There Be Carnage and the multiverse. Like it might be a double entendre there, but it's a safe title. Let's say.
It's open-ended.
It's open-ended for sure.
The Eternals, November 5th, 2021.
I think that's a sleeper. I think a lot of people are going to... I think it's going to catch people by surprise, that movie, in a good way.
I think because that takes place when? Like before all of this stuff, right?
This is... Man, there's going to be time travel in that. It's going to be jumping.
Yeah, it's going to be some celestial activity.
We're gonna see the Celestials, man. They teased, what is it? What's the city? I keep saying it's not Palestine. Babylon. You see it in the background in the trailer, like you see the blue walls with the gold lions and ornaments on the outside. That's Babylon, and that's Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh is one of the Eternals. So we're going to see some time. Like, I'm telling you, this movie's probably going to surprise a lot of people.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to predict that movie will be the first time we hear the word mutant. That's in the Eternals.
I'm not saying
the Eternals movie. I'm going to say. We're not going to see any mutants, but I think the word mutant may be used for the first time in that movie.
I am not disagreeing. I'm just going to say I learned my lesson after WandaVision. I'm not doing any more speculating. I'm just going to watch the movie.
It'll either I'm going all in. It'll either be mutant or it'll be X gene. One of those two or both will be used in that movie. That's my prediction.
Okay. We'll talk about it.
And be X gene being the more technical term, it'll probably be that over mutant, but we'll see.
Mutant or X gene. All right, let me write this down.
That is my prediction. That one of those two.
Saturday, May 8th at 9:40 p.m. You heard it here first, people.
One of those two words will be used, or if not both.
All right, we have next Spider-Man No Way Home on December 17th, 2021. So that's 4 MCU films. We have Black Widow,
Mm.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home are all supposed to come out this year, according to
That's a
Marvel. But I don't
strong.
believe
That's a strong lineup
That's a strong
to
it's
lineup.
close the
definitely.
year out.
Then we have Miss Marvel.
This is in
No, Miss Marvel
22.
was the show, right?
No. The Marvels.
Miss
Miss
Marvel is
Marvel, yes. Yeah.
Morbius. That's a Sony film, though.
Yes, Morbius is Sony.
Technically.
Got you. So we'll leave that alone then. But that has an official date of January 21st, 2022. Then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Also, I think that's important. I've been saying Doctor Strange and the
And
whole
yeah, the
time
title's in. I have too. I'm like,
in
that's,
the Multiverse of Madness. So that's different. That little word makes a
Yeah.
huge difference.
it changed the
That's
context completely.
right.
Completely changes the context.
And that comes out
Actually,
March 20, 2022. Then Thor: Love and Thunder, May 6th, 2022. Wakanda Forever, July 8th, 2022. Not the MCU.
First official title.
How do y'all like that title?
I can dig it. I think it
If it,
informs too what probably the movie is going to be about. It's probably going to be less centered on the Black Panther and more on Wakanda. It might be setting up the Wakanda show. Now that I think
I
about
hope
it,
so.
and that might be the safer way to go depending on how they're writing the Wakanda show. But I think I don't know. Never mind. I won't speculate. But I think it is. I think it makes sense that they are setting up the Wakanda show for Disney Plus with that movie, and the title is kind of sort of informing that. But also, I think it is also paying homage to Chadwick.
And the official title is technically Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, but Wakanda Forever is much larger than Black Panther. It's small.
Yeah, Black Panther
Um,
is small. Wakanda forever.
so outside of
I
the
dug
MCU,
it though.
you
Yeah.
have the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel. It doesn't have a name yet, but it's the sequel, and it'll be released on October 7th, 2022. Then The Marvels, November 11th, 2022. Now, I know we just said a whole bunch about how we don't know how they feel about Disney Plus, but if the name of this show is The Marvels, then we're probably going to see Kamala Khan in this movie too. I would hope.
Most likely, like
Yeah.
is that coming out before? Is Miss Marvel coming out first?
Yes, Miss Marvel comes out. Hold on, the date was here. I just
And that's on Disney Plus, right?
that comes out this year. This comes out the
Yeah.
end of 2021.
Well, see, and they cast her last summer, so they've been working on stuff throughout COVID, and like I said, like that, the stagecraft has really helped them to get back on track with their production because while they weren't able to shoot at certain locations due to travel restrictions, they were able to move cast and crew to New Zealand and London to shoot at their stagecraft sites for certain scenes and sequences for their movie. So, and then I also got a shout out Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, and Lucasfilm for that big breakthrough because the stagecraft is the volume that they use to shoot the Mandalorian on. So that technology, which is changed entirely the way we do TV shows, actually helped Marvel now get back on track. So once again, ILM innovating and changing the movie and film industry, the TV industry.
After that, you have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Also, Tiana Parrish is going to be in the Marvels. That's
Yeah. We'll also see Blue
Who's
Marvel
that?
probably.
Monica Rambeau
Rambo.
Oh, okay.
from WandaVision. Then Ant-Man and the
She's
Wasp,
good.
Quantumania, February 17th, 2023.
Definitely looking forward to that.
And then speculated that we're going to see Fantastic Four in that film too.
And
Oh, really?
Quantumania.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that several times that they'll be
Really?
introduced in the Wasp. Yeah.
I could,
Or
I could see that.
I've heard Reed Richards is going to be introduced in Quantumania. I don't know about the whole. I mean, if I'm not. I'm trust me. I'm not opposed to seeing the entire Fantastic Four appear in this because I'd rather them pop up in another property and we skip a whole origin
You don't need
story and
another
just
origin
get right
story.
into it. I'd much rather that, and I feel like that's the route. Like, I don't think Kevin Feige likes doing origin stories anyway. Like, unless it's a character that we know most people know nothing about, I feel like we're going to see. They're just going to introduce characters through other properties, and then we'll get a dedicated movie to them later.
I can tell you it's because he ain't good at them. That freaking 2003 Hulk movie, that's where he learned his lesson. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
which movie? Which movie?
The 2003 Hulk movie.
Oh, yeah,
That his name is all over that.
yeah.
Yes. I was
Yeah.
surprised to see it too. He learned his lesson. He don't need to do that ever again. But then Guardians
Well, I
of
mean,
the
Iron Man was good though.
Yes, Iron Man was good. But I'd say he probably learned his lesson and maybe he had to start with an
It
origin
helped.
story. And then also Captain America too was great. But after that, I feel like everybody else has kind of popped up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
Thor
I think
had
they
one.
kind of sort of.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
already Thor.
Yeah, yeah.
He already
true,
had it.
true.
He lost
And
it.
that's technically not even a Thor origin movie. Like, I mean, it's the introduction to
Man.
Thor, but that's really not his origin story. But
Right.
yes, it is a. Yeah, I don't know. It's
It's
yeah,
an
it's hard to
origin
say that's
story
an origin
without
story.
giving us an origin story. Like it's yeah. But I really
It's
appreciated
'cause-
how
Yeah, no, because he's kind of like a crossover between the Donald Blake and the other. What's I forget the other name, but like the MCU Thor is a hybrid of the two Thor characters from the comic books. It's not really his original. It's not a true origin or iteration of the character from the comics.
what's up. Peyton Reed is the director for the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Was
After that, you have
yeah. Go ahead.
oh
He directed an episode of The Mandalorian too in season 2. I think he did the finale. I think he did the last episode. I'm pretty sure he did the last episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
that gets me hyped. Shoot, I have
Yeah.
nothing but faith in Quantumania.
If he can give us a cameo with the Fantastic Four Reed Richards on the level of that Luke Skywalker cameo, whoo, bruh, that man's gonna be like a hero of Marvel. Like he's gonna be on the level of the what are the brothers who did the Winter Soldier.
Gotcha. Where are we? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is to be released
Russo
May
brothers.
5th. Yes.
Sorry.
May 5th,
That was
2023. But it's being directed by James Gunn. He's not allowed to start on that until he finishes the Suicide Squad and HBO Max Peacemaker prequel. So I don't know if, as long as those shows stay on schedule, then we know for sure that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to come out on time. And then the Fantastic Four, they didn't give us a date, but they did, hint to it. We
They
are
teased
going
it.
to see the Fantastic Four in Phase 4 at some point. So,
Yeah,
only
you know
thing
what? You know
Hmm?
what's wild about that artwork is that was actually a leak, and I think I used that on one of our thumbnails recently, or at least I've saved that image before. But I didn't realize that was a leak of the actual teaser for this trailer, because when it reappeared, that was supposed to be the first time we see that. And I'm like, yo, I've totally seen that. I've used that logo before with the four with the Marvel Studios in the center with nothing else. Like I've seen it. I've used it on something. Probably, I think it was a thumbnail recently. So that was funny because I thought that was like an official thing for Marvel already. So that was cool.
I'm hyped. Only thing that bothered me is we didn't get to see Blade, so I'm guessing it's going to be Phase 5. Also, that's what I wanted to ask. This seems like a lot of film, a lot of content. Is all of this 4, or is some of this Phase 5 too?
No idea.
I think it's 4 and 5.
Got you.
A
So then,
combo, a mixture.
yeah, I'm wondering if that's the end of 5 also, or if there's going to be more of 5 later. Because they gassed us up. We've known who's going to play Blade for a few years now, and they still haven't even started production. So
Yeah, I'm surprised they lagging with that. Like,
the only reason why I'm understanding is, Blade is related to vampires and all of that stuff. Maybe they are gonna tie in. Maybe they want to bring in the Fox stuff. Tie in some of the Sony stuff because Morbius is a Sony film. Maybe they, that's why it's gotten pushed back to make sure everything is on track with bringing everybody else together. But I was a little bummed not to see it because I've been hype about Blade for a while.
Yeah,
yeah.
I heard that it got pushed to a 2024 release window. And that may be to your point with Morbius stuff. It might have to do with the Sony deal. Like, and now that that's finalized, it just makes sense for Morbius to tie into Blade in some way. And I think that's probably the ideal thing for them to do, especially given they're both vampires and they're dealing with that underworld uh, vampire mythos. Like, you kind of want those two to be connected and working together. So that I think that is probably more so why Blade got pushed back more than anything, is primarily because of the Sony deal. Because that's the Morbius thing is going to be a Sony deal. So like, if for whatever reason, let's say the deal hadn't gone through, then now we're looking at two separate properties once again, and then Blade they'd have to figure out how and where Blade sits within all of this, and then just kind of sort of figure out where they go. But now we know that they can tie both of these characters together, so I think that allows them to push the release date back to figure out how they're going to connect everything with the Spider-Verse and all that. And having Blade, the possibility of Blade popping up with Spider-Man in some way, shape, or form that's an interesting idea.
It's crazy because we haven't seen Mahershala Ali as Blade yet. Like, we've seen fan art, but we haven't actually seen him in the role. So in my mind, Blade is still Wesley Snipes. And seeing Wesley Snipes and Tom Holland together in my mind is just wild. Especially just knowing, things about Wesley Snipes as the character and how he was, off screen, like behind the scenes and stuff. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, I've actually been able to kind of detach the characters because like now when I hear Blade, I think about like Mahershala Ali, and I hear his voice, like voicing some of the Blade dialogue, and I'm like, bro, this man about to kill this role. Like, man, especially if he gets some like input into like the character, because he's big on drama. So like if he can get some, like, if they give him, which he deserves, a lot of leeway to kind of dive into the character a bit and explore some things, man, that could be a really good movie. That could be a really good movie, and it's the character itself is well within his wheelhouse. Of if you look at his catalog, like that layered complexity that Blade has or potential to have within a movie is something that he really is keen on and is always been able to deliver in all of his projects. And so for me, his his portfolio of work, his body of work is enough for him to get enough say in this role to kind of craft it in the way that he wants it. I don't think he's going to do anything that would deviate from the character, but like he definitely deserves to have a lot of input into the direction of the character.
That's exciting. I'm hyped too. I think, I don't know, I'm just hyped. No thoughts, just vibes and happiness.
I don't know. For like, if you've seen the True Detective, I'm thinking about him in True Detective, and I'm hearing like just how I just hear his voice in that. I can hear him in what was it, Luke Cage?
Yeah, I haven't seen True Detective, but my mind always goes back to Cottonmouth.
Yeah. And I'm like, yo, you
Cottonmouth.
take that and put Blade over top of it. Oh man, come on.
Yeah.
He finally gets justice for his character because that character should not have died, bro. That killed that
I'm
whole
so
show for
sick
me.
they killed Cottonmouth.
that killed the whole show.
Why did they kill Cottonmouth, man? Or even if
They
Cottonmouth
lacked the vision. They
then they
lacked the
shouldn't have
vision.
casted Mahershala Ali for that role.
No,
That was
exactly.
if he was always supposed to die. Then would you say like how Old Boy was an overcast in The Boys?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an
John. For me, if that's how they're going to use Giancarlo Esposito, he's overcast. You're wasting talent with him in that role. Like Giancarlo Esposito deserves way more than that character in the arc that it went in season 2, and same with Mahershala. Like he deserves way more than the fate that he got with Cottonmouth. He's just too high caliber of an actor. Like that's just a lack of vision for me. Like that was his. I mean, that was like what Daredevil has. What's my man? The villain in Daredevil.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, I forget the character's
King,
name. But
Kingpin.
Kingpin, yeah, Kingpin. He's got Kingpin. Like that, Kingpin is as important to the Daredevil show as Daredevil is, and Cottonmouth at that point in time was as important as Luke Cage was to the show. Those two forces colliding was what made the show, and you took him out. And it's like, nah, man, you need him. He needs to be a recurring threat.
Yeah.
Good heroes need good villains.
Definitely.
Opposite sides of the same coin. Like one can't exist without the other. You can't ignore the other half of the coin.
I never watched Luke Cage season 2 because I think around the time it came out is when they announced that they weren't going to continue with any of the Netflix shows, and so I was like, well, what am I going to watch it for? I didn't finish that. I didn't finish The Punisher. I didn't finish Jessica Jones either because they said that they weren't going to do it anymore. I was like, so what am I watching it for? Ain't no point. They're not even advertising them anymore. They don't pop up at all.
Man.
So
Well, Luke Cage season 2 was okay. It was slow, but it was okay.
I don't remember if I watched it or not. I can't remember.
You probably didn't.
I don't remember watching it. I know Iron Fist was terrible.
Please don't
And
get
the
me.
Defenders was terrible.
Hot mess.
And so I can't even remember if did season 2 of Luke Cage come out after Iron Fist and the Defenders. I know it came out after the announcement that they weren't continuing the shows, and I was already kind of disappointed with them killing Cottonmouth. And then I feel like it came out afterwards because Iron Fist was a hot mess, and then the Defenders was like also not any better.
The first episode of The Defenders came out August 8th, 2017. And then Luke Cage season 2 dropped
Who was the main
in
villain?
2018. So yeah, The Defenders came out first.
Oh yes, that's why I definitely didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it. Maybe that's
the villain was a Jamaican dude who did the some special magic he had going on that gave him the power.
I didn't watch that. I didn't watch it. I don't because I don't remember Jamaican, so that would have stood out to me.
One of the main characters in Luke Cage's story. It's I just forget his name.
I do remember the promo for Luke Cage season 2 being really good, but they had already announced before Luke Cage season 2 came out, they had already announced that they were not continuing. It's like they killed the show. Like, even if y'all weren't going to continue it, you shouldn't have said that before the show came out, because what was the point of me watching that? And I had already told myself.
Is that when they made him vulnerable? Like they took away his skin, something happened and he lost his power. Like his skin, he became vulnerable. Was that in season 1 or season 2?
That was in season 1.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't see season 2. I didn't see that.
No, that's why
season 2 was alright. But it was it was alright.
Yeah, because I think part of me watching it was I was like, oh, this is going to all tie into the MCU, and then they announced that they canceled it, and then they announced that none of these characters, basically these stories weren't canon in the MCU timeline. So I was like, well, ain't no point in me watching this. It's canceled and it's not canon. Like what? What about? Why am I watching this? For what? There's zero investment for me. I got nothing to look forward to, even if I like the season. Like it ain't coming back. So, and it doesn't tie in. So we're not gonna see him pop up with the Avengers at some point.
I hope they fix
Because
that. That was a lot of money spent for no reason. Now,
But
I at some point.
I remember too thinking like, yo, that would be crazy if they brought them in to the Infinity Saga, like after Endgame or something. This is before they announced that they were canceling shows. So I was like, yo, this would be crazy. You got Daredevil, you got Luke Cage, you got Iron Fist. Before I saw the Iron Fist show, Jessica Jones. I'm like, yo, these are really great characters to have go join up with the Avengers. I'm like, yo, they're building up something really cool because there are times when the Defenders and the Avengers team up and fight. And I'm like, yeah, this would be kind of cool. I don't know how effective they're going to be against Thanos, but still cool to see them all on screen. Then they got canceled. And I was like, oh, okay, well, there goes that dream.
Well, we're pretty sure we're at least going to see Daredevil, even if he's not in costume on screen, because the character is going to be Spider-Man's lawyer. We know that. So that does make me hopeful that we're going to see the rest of the crew again. But right now, there's no guarantee. The only person I'm sure of is that we're going to see Daredevil.
Charlie Cox. Yeah, Charlie Cox Daredevil is the only character that's been confirmed to be coming back. And his it still is not making the show canon. So, like, it will almost be like an alternate version Daredevil. It's a brand new version. Because
on a different Earth.
616.
From a different universe.
616 Daredevil. Yeah. Yeah, so like basically TV shows exist in another universe.
Yeah, they could bring Cottonmouth back that way.
I don't.
He won't because
he's already
Mahershala getting old though. He getting.
But
old.
you got to recast him because Mahershala's already cast his Blade.
Yeah, you can't have Mahershala twice in the universe.
He'd be completely different characters.
Also, I've said this before, but I hope they find a way to bring the Punisher back. The Punisher was good.
That's like another one. Yeah.
That was great. Crazy. And also, the Punisher is easily that's one of my favorite castings in Marvel. Like that's up there for me, top 10 casting. Like they did that well.
Yeah, they did.
I'll argue that down. Like that, I should watch it again.
Nah, that was a great show, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was great casting. Was it John Bernthal, his character?
He's really good at playing a scorned person.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like angry at the world, man. That was perfect. But it's over 2 hours now. I don't think we're gonna be able to talk about Mortal Kombat, y'all.
Oh wow, yeah, we have to carry it the next week, man. Forgot all about MK, man. Dang.
If you have not seen Mortal Kombat, I do believe it's leaving HBO Max soon. Those movies don't stay. The Warner Brothers releases aren't staying, so y'all might want to go ahead and watch that. When is it?
Yeah, that's a. They have a short run. It's only a month because I think Judas and the Black Messiah was only on HBO Max for a month.
I went to watch that again and it was gone. That's when I learned. I learned that the hard way.
Dang.
Yeah, so. Those premiere access movies are going to only be on HBO Max for a month, for 4 weeks. Then they come down, and once they finish their theatrical run, then they'll come back to the streaming service after they finish their run. And I'm pretty sure there's like a contractual period to where they can't appear on a streaming platform. So I don't know if that's a 5-week thing or 6 week or however many weeks, but they'll all come back eventually, minus the Snyder Cut. That's not. Probably won't see the light of day ever again, which is a shame. But everything else will come back. Hey, did y'all see the trailer for the 4K Whedon cut of Justice League?
Mm-mm.
Yo, HBO dropped a trailer for their 4K re-release of the Whedon cut, yo, and it's got like almost 1 million dislikes, I think, on YouTube.
Good. I'm gonna be 1,000,001 because nobody wants that.
Yeah, like I meant to say that in the Discord. Like, yo, go hit the thumbs down on this trailer. Like, what is it at right now? Let me see. Let me check. Because that was last week when I saw it. Let me see. Let me see what it's at now.
Drop the link in the Discord so we can go just like it. Because I don't see it. Doesn't pop up on YouTube.
Yeah,
But also, I just checked.
because of the number of dislikes it got. Like if a video gets that many dislikes, it gets pushed all the way down to like the bottom of the rankings.
Good.
So like yeah, no, so it's at 124K dislikes right now. It's got 5K likes and 124 dislikes. 124K. But
I just checked. Mortal Kombat is on HBO Max until May 23rd. So we can definitely talk about that on
so you
next
got
week's
to
show.
the end of the month.
Also on next week's show,
I just
we
clicked the dislike button.
share that.
Yeah, don't
Share
watch the video. Yeah, just don't watch the video. Just click it, hit dislike, and then move on.
Yeah,
Move on. Keep it moving.
Did you share the link?
I'm about to drop it.
Oh,
Drop it there because I pulled it up on my phone.
There it is. All right, it's in the Discord now. I'll put it in the DC section. Speaking of the Discord, if you have not joined our Discord, there's a link in the description, but I'm going to put a link right now into the chat for those of you who have not joined. Come join the
tell
community.
people where they can find us.
Yes, you can. Where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch at Certified
That's
Gumbo. We just dropped the link to the Discord. Please join us on Discord. We talk about this stuff all day, every day. And if we talk about something, or if you want to talk about something that we haven't talked about on the show, I can guarantee you have a friend in the Discord already. Just let us know, and I promise you we'll start a whole new thread for it. What else? If you love us and you want to support us, please buy us some coffee. The link is in the description bar below. And like and subscribe, like this video, please, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
Yep.
Cool. Star Wars Sunday? Or
Star
are
Wars
we
Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars. Look, man, we got content for Star Wars. I got a lot of things I can talk about now, man. It's a wonderful time period because, like I said earlier in the episode, Bad Batch is out. We got 2 episodes. It's already giving me a lot to speculate and talk about. I've already got some ideas and some speculation as to how the Bad Batch can also tie into Andor and possibly the Kenobi series, which are both live action. But we know that at least in the Star Wars universe, characters from animation can cross over into live action, and live action characters can cross over into animation. So, man, we're gonna see some things. I would like to see certain character appearances happen. I think. Well, never mind. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, we can speculate on episode 3 of the Bad Batch tomorrow, as well as how everything is going to tie together moving forward, and how it's also setting up the full universe because it's a lot. Man, we got stuff, man. I'm happy I can talk about Star Wars right now. So yeah, Sundays will be dedicated to speculation, theories, and all of that stuff, and then Fridays we'll be doing reviews of each episode of the Bad Batch. I also wanted to say earlier we announced that the Loki show had been moved to the Wednesday release instead of Friday release, and it is because of the Bad Batch, because that will be 16 episodes this show, so that's 15 weeks of content basically.
Nice.
For the Bad Batch, so it's going to overlap with Loki, and we talked about this on another stream. Like at some point, they're going to have to use other days of the week to release these shows because everything coming out on a Friday is going to get problematic at some point. So I'm glad that they made that decision. We saw it coming, we called it, and I'm just. We'll also probably be doing some Loki reviews on Wednesdays. I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I can get on at 8 o'clock, 7 p.m., whatever time we decide. I'm excited for that show still, despite what happened with WandaVision and
Falcon
and the Winter Soldier. Because one, Tom Hiddleston is involved. He's a fan favorite. Like, people love Loki and his portrayal of Loki. He's a huge fan of the character. And I think with the time travel and the variant stuff, there's a lot that they're going to have to probably explore, especially now that we're going to get into time travel and multiverses. I think that this show is going to explain a lot of that. That's what I'm looking forward to most about the show. So definitely come back when that show comes out and watch those recaps with us on Wednesday nights. So yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to move everything to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from here on out for the show. So Star Wars Sunday is actually going to move from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, just like the regular show. So everything 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just easier, simple time to remember. We're always broadcasting at 8 p.m. That's all I got. Anything else, guys? And gal?
Um, I would like to say I am not supporting McDonald's. These are not the golden arches. These are the
McDowell's.
golden arcs. Below what I'm
Hey,
watching, not the arches. These are the arcs.
that's
Shout out
crazy.
to
Hey, yo, is that
pop up.
supposed to be? Is that green?
It's green,
Is
but my
that
green
green? Ah,
is
okay.
green.
I was about to say that's kind of
Small
fly,
Milk,
yo.
Yeah. Look good like that.
you already know what it is. Shout out to
That's
my
funny.
mom. There was a McDowell's pop-up shop in Cherry Hill Mall in Jersey. You could actually go to a restaurant that looked just like McDowell's. The counter setup was the same. The menu was the same. They had the apartment set up, so like with the body, the tape on the floor, all of that stuff where you could go and take pictures. And my mom picked it up for
Oh
me. We
man.
also got some beers that we won't drink, which saved in the containers, but it's Soul Glow, which I thought was cute. But yeah, these are not the golden arches. These are the golden
That's
arches.
crazy.
McDonald's, if you people appropriately, we not eating your food. Well, we won't eat it anyway because it's trash. But, letting people know, arcs, not arches. Period. That's all I
All
got.
right, JBM, you got anything? Any closing
Hey,
remarks?
man, y'all enjoy your weekend.
Same to you. Same to everybody watching. As I always say, peace, love, blessings. May the force be with you always.